Hey everyone, welcome back to GSX. And how'd you like that new intro? Took a while. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. So let's get into this. So today, what we're gonna be doing is focusing. Well, there's a few things we do, but it's literally mainly this fuel depot center thing, and it's actually really cool. It turned out great. I used procedural objects for the first time, and you'll see me use that in a few minutes. And so the first thing I do is I create a little grid and I put down these huge tanks without a logo. I don't remember who made these, but if you just search up tank on the workshop, sort it by building and most popular, you'll find these pretty quickly. They're really nice because once again, they have no logo. They're these plain concrete things. They have a good texture on them, and they have pipes and everything. They're really nice. So this fuel depot is going to be pretty large. Generally, if you look at reference pictures, or if you just look at an airport and try and find the tanks, they're all going to be pretty small. But I wanted to do something bigger, I guess. I wanted it to stand out, and I wanted to do a lot of things. So I decided to make it bigger. And there's a few things. So you don't want only those big tanks. So I'm also including these are re-uploads, I think, of... No, that's later. These are also by the same creator as the big ones, and I put down a couple of them. And then I have a few that I put down that were by Ngon, and I don't remember what happened to him. I think he left or something, or his account got hacked or something, and there are re-uploads of all his stuff now. They're really nice, and you'll see them in a second. So yeah, we have the big tanks, and then we have these smaller tanks, and then of course I'm changing all the vanilla concrete roads, or maybe that's from network extensions, I don't remember, to basically these service roads. And this entire thing, this is just a general layout. I change it later on because it was too close to the cargo ramp, so it changes a bit, but it's still very similar because it's a grid. You can sort of move everything around. And yeah, these are the tanks that I was talking about, the ones by Ngon. They're nice because they have pipes, so if you put them right next to each other, it looks like they have this really nice set of pipes behind them. So like I was saying, this is larger than most fuel farms, and the configuration might not be that realistic. It's probably more reminiscent of just oil storage or something like that. I don't know. I don't know much about fuel and everything, or petrol products. I learned a lot about them while doing research for this, but yeah, I don't know. The configuration looks good in my opinion, but I'm just saying right now that if you want to make something realistic, this is too big. But whatever, it still looks fine in the end. I'm happy with it. Also, something that probably most of you probably didn't notice is that I actually went around and I smoothed the edges of the island that the airport is on, because before that it was just basically just this chunk of land that I elevated in sort of the middle of nowhere on the corner of the map. So I'm pretty happy with how it turned out because it looks more natural now. And the bridge, by the way, the suspension bridge the Biskeugelhausen's Bay Bridge, he gave me some tips and I redid it, and now I actually have ships going under there because it's tall enough and it looks a lot better, and I tunneled the high-speed train connection underneath. So thanks for that, Biskeugelhausen. So what we're doing here is we're taking Bad Ideas pipes and just sort of connecting the tanks together. I saw this at some fuel farms and I sort of wanted to replicate that. And I really wanted to use Bad Ideas pipes in sort of realistic scenario because, I don't know, before that I've only been using them as sort of decorative, but it makes sense that they'd have pipes here, right? And the brown pipes, which is what these are, basically they indicate that there's a flammable liquid being moved through there. And so different types of fuel actually have different types of markings and colors of pipes. And I fixed that later on, you'll see that, but for now, we're going with this because it's simple and this is what I knew at the time. I liked the idea in FBS, I think it was Flux that did it, where he lowered the pipes into the ground. It looked really cool, and I wanted to try that because then I could have some ditches, running under taxiways or something, or maybe under runways. But I don't know, I couldn't get it to work properly, so I just ended up doing them level with the ground. So I had these 4 sets of pipes sort of running down the middle. No, sorry, it's 2 sets. Basically, you just sort of merge them together because there's a large space in between the two. And then, yeah, so these are brown pipes because those were orange. And then what you do is you take the same pipe and you just go to the edge of each. I don't know how to explain it. It's what I'm doing right here, and then you just sort of branch it out to each tank. I guess they have it like that so it would be easier to maintain the pipes or something. I don't know if it would be the best idea because you have this fuel that's sort of exposed, but whatever. It looks good. I like it, so we're just gonna leave it. So after that, we started decorating a bit, and I'm really happy with how this turned out. I wanted it to look sort of ruined, almost overgrown. You know, they don't really maintain that area because they have no reason to. So I put down the a ruined texture with surface painter. Then I used the resource brush from Extra Landscaping Tools, and I painted a little bit of the ore texture, which goes really nicely. It fits great with the new grass texture that I have, and the ruined texture too. I really like it. And then I basically just put in a whole bunch of lawn tufts, and in the end I think it looks really nice. Like when I look at it with the camera and stuff, it looks a lot better than just plain grass. And I think I'm going to be doing that in some more areas, maybe where it's just empty space. Maybe it's a lot that hasn't been used for anything yet. It's really nice to probably just fill it in with this sort of the same thing. So this is the final layout. This is what I decided upon, and you can see we have the pipes and everything. We have the tanks a bit in a different order, and a larger quantity too. But yeah, in the end, it's fine. Like I said, it's the same thing. We removed one of the big tanks. It's just 3. But what we're going to be doing now is, because these are actually unique buildings, and I don't want to have visitors coming to them all the time, so I converted them all into into oil industrial buildings. But because I'm going to be using procedural objects later on these, like right now, that was sort of unnecessary. It was only for the small tanks, the Engons tanks, that it was unnecessary. So here's procedural objects for the first time that I'm using it, and what's really cool about it is that you could take almost any object, you press the button in the top right to convert it into a procedural object, and then you can add text to it. I think you can even change the texture. I'm still not sure how to do that because it's my first time. But I went through the workshop and I found some font packs for like highway signs, and there were some nice ones where they have like a white background and just blank white spaces, so I used that to cover the travel agency logo. This is by Kono, by the way, this gas station. And yeah, I just covered that. You could see it's just these blank white pieces, and then I replaced it with my own thing, and you'll see that in a second. And you can see it looks like the blank white spaces that I'm putting on are actually brighter than the texture, the white, but it's actually the same. The texture is dimmed in the viewer, so you know what you put and where. And yeah, so that's just a little feature. Procedural objects is great. I'm going to be using this so much more because there's so much customization. Like you can adjust the view distance for the actual model. You can change the color of the text. You can move vertices around, which, if you don't know, are little points basically on a 3D model, and they connect together to form a polygon, like a triangle or a quad, and that's whatever. Not important. Procedural objects is great. And what I do after that is I want this to be a functional sort of thing, right? Because I want to have fuel trucks stopping there, but I need to put down roads first. And so what I do, as you'll see in a second, is I use a whole bunch of okay, I guess I'm gonna be doing that in a second. Yeah, so each of those little plus icons, that is a vertice. So here's what I was talking about. I'm using the tiny one-way roads from network extensions, and I'm going to be putting them together with Move It. And basically I'm just putting them into each of these lanes, so I have the trucks can stop there. I'll use Vasimir's service vehicle bus pack and then I'm going to be creating lines, and they'll stop here, obviously, at the fuel pumps, and then they'll go around wherever I set the stops to. I think the best website that I used for references for this project, it was Aftech USA, AFTECH USA, .com. I think it's either Air Fuel Technicians USA, or it's Airport Fuel. I don't remember, but that's the website name. And if you go to their portfolio, they have a whole bunch of images and pictures of all their projects. It's really nice. You can actually, because they post details about each project when you click on it, so you can actually find it on Google Maps, and you can take a look at the entire thing. Really nice, really convenient. If you're planning on doing something like this, I'd really recommend taking a look at that, because it's actually a real thing. They do make real fuel farm things. Yeah, I'm saying a lot. I know it's a lot to process, but there's a lot of stuff. It's kind of complicated. And yeah, so after I have all the roads set there for where I want the trucks to go through, I merge them all together into this sort of just 2 lanes, and then I actually merge those 2 lanes into just a 2-lane one-way road. I think it's vanilla, actually. And you can see there's a whole lot of clipping going on. Cars and buses will still travel on it fine, it just looks weird, so I'm going to be covering that with ploppable asphalt. And I'm going to be using, I think I'm actually going to be using procedural objects to make the ploppable asphalt conform to the specific shape. So it's already coming in useful. But I'm not going to show that because it's boring. You could see I did it. It's a shape. Great. I just, like I mentioned previously, I just moved the vertices around. It's not that complicated. And I also added curb props. You can see on the sides. I think they're actually Ronix's. They're pretty nice. I replaced them later with network versions I found. They're really nice. I think they're the top-rated curb props on the workshop. They're not that hard to find. And then I'm adding, also using Ronix's asset. This is his line networks, decal line networks. I'm using those to indicate lanes where the trucks can stop, where they can go through to get fuel. So like literally all things about this project, me and Vasimir discussed it, and we basically came down to the fuels. The main fuels that airports seem to use is Jet A. I think it was Jet A or Jet A1. I don't remember. And avgas, or aviation gas. Yeah, so it was Jet A. And aviation gas 100 low lead, or avgas 100 LL. And I found this great pack of, it's separate. There's a letter pack and a number pack of decals on the workshop. They're really nice, and they only appear on dark surfaces. I don't know why they are like that. I guess they just made the opacity too low, but they appear fine in the ploppable asphalt, so I used them there, and I labeled basically half of the fuel pumps are avgas and the other half is Jet A. So in the main reference that I was using from Aftech USA, they actually had labeled their tanks, and so I created a custom font with for procedural objects. I just took one of the fonts I downloaded and I just changed the background to black and the letters to white, because that seems to be the standard for labeling. And I basically did what they had on their tanks. I had the fuel name at the top, and then under that it was the capacity of the tank, and I had to calculate the volume. I measured using, what was it, precision engineering. I used a road and I dragged it from edge to edge for diameter and all that. And there's like a calculator online I used for volume. And then you divide the number of gallons by, I think it was 42, to calculate the blue barrel capacity or something like that. It's apparently it's BBL, and it's like a measurement for capacity of oil or whatever, or petroleum products in the oil. I don't know. I didn't know about that, and whatever. So I did that, and then you put that as one of the labels. So that's pretty cool to know that stuff is pretty accurate on here. And yeah, it's really nice. I'm really happy with how that turned out because it added a really good amount of detail to it. And continuing on with the sort of labeling theme, so aviation gas, or avgas, avgas 100 LL is apparently dyed blue, and so the pipes, the closest thing I had to the blue banding they have on them, the markings, were these Bad Ideas blue pipes. So I made the pipes for the aviation gas tanks blue, and then the ones for the for the jet fuel, the Jet A, I made the pipes white, unmarked. So because that's the closest thing I had for Jet A, it's a white pipe with a black banding, but I only have white. There are no black pipes, so I did white. And then you can see I made all the bus lines, and we have the buses stopping and going through. It's really nice. I'm happy because it looks real and everything. And this is actually too slow. I set it to 10. I made it 20 later, I think. Now, of course, I also added a whole ton of decals everywhere just to spice things up a bit, you know, keep it stylish, whatever. Yeah, I added decals to the tanks and to here, you know, so it's just not a flat color. There's some character to it, or it looks a little bit better, and it looks good now. It looks a lot better with the decals. Now, like I said, me and Vasimir were talking about the fuel stuff on this a lot, and he actually he made this. He made one of these cool things from one of the references I was using, which is basically an underground tank for the fuel they store at one of the airports, and it looks awesome. He's going to be making it public on the workshop soon, so if you're going to be wanting to make something like this, you can. It's really cool. It looks nice. It's very generic, so you can use it for almost anything. And you can actually delete those pipes at the top if you want with procedural objects. I didn't because it looks nice. But it's underground tanks, and I put them next to the fuel pumps because it would make sense that they have fuel there. You know, they store them in some tanks off to the side instead of piping it down directly from the huge storage tanks. So yeah, thank you for that, Vasimir. They look great. And so the next thing we do, I had some empty space that I need to fill in, and so what I did is I took basically the baggage handling building from Vasimir's GRU terminal set, or whatever it was, and I clipped them together back to back because he didn't set like a back wall to them, so it's sort of just, there's no wall at the back, so I have to clip something at the back or else it'll just be this hole in the building. And it looks fine. I mean, it looks like a building. It's just a bit weird because it's like the same thing twice. And at the back, I still had some empty space off to the side. I thought it would be kind of cool if I added like a washing station. Now, obviously, you'd either have like a car wash type of thing, or you just have people spraying down the vehicles with hoses in real life. But there aren't any hose assets on the workshop, or really anything that sort of suited my needs. So I just decided to make my own thing. Why not? You know, it's sort of fun. And these are also Bad Ideas pipes. It's from the large oil pipeline set, I think. The prop comes with it. And while this is just a filler, I think it looks pretty cool. Like, it's a neat little idea, you know, having the vehicles sort of standing there. And that's the hydrant cart, by the way. It looks really nice. And having like the oil or fuel, or I think it's oil slick. Yeah, oil slick sort of washing away to the drain. That's kind of like a cool thing. And I still had some more space to fill, and I realized I don't actually have any like real parking spaces for service vehicles yet. So this is sort of the ideal place. I don't remember specifically what airport I got this from. I saw this at a few airports, so it doesn't really matter. It's just a sort of generic thing. You just have a whole bunch of lines painted, a whole bunch of lanes, and then you have vehicles parked there. And I think it's kind of sort of like they try to organize it, so I tried to replicate that. And as you can see, the pallet loader, the yellow thing, is actually the widest like service vehicle that I have, so I just used that as a reference for the lanes. Then I copy and pasted them, and then after that I filled them with vehicles. I put down some more decals. I added in arrows later, and some wrong way decals on the other side, because technically these are like one way, And I had some other decals, like just like with the tanks and stuff, you know, to make it not like a flat surface. And then that was it. We were done. That was literally the end. I didn't put down just like actual vehicles though. I did have a few like just pallet carts and baggage carts. But yeah, I just filled it with random service vehicles, just everything I could find. I had a few follow me cars, which are little pickup trucks that sort of go in front of planes, and they have lights on them to help guide the plane to a specific area. And yeah, I just filled it in with a whole bunch of stuff, and it looks pretty cool in the end. So there's still a lot of things that I want to do in the airport. I have a lot of ideas. But like promised, next video is going to be on the city, because we're alternating the episodes to keep things fresh. So the upcoming video will be on the metro. We're going to be redoing the metro system. And then after that, I'm not sure yet what we're going to do in the airport. You can suggest something if you want, but I have a few things that I want to do. I'm just not sure when or the order, so we'll see. Anyways, thank you for watching. Leave a comment if you want, and subscribe, because I will be posting more videos, and this is what I do. It's fun for me, I guess. Yeah. See you next time.